Now let's talk about compound interest and how to use the formula for compounding interest. The formula of compound interest is right here, and the key thing is to know which letter, what each letter means. So A means the total amount in the account. P is referring to principal. R is referring to interest rate, and you just need to remember that this needs to be in decimal notation. And then N is number of times compounding happen per year. So the key thing about N is that if it's compounded semi-annually, let's say, and so we'll give some examples here. Semi-annually, then N would be 2. Quarterly, N would be 4. And monthly, N would be 12, so on and so forth. And let's say daily, then N would be 365. Okay? Then in the exponent part, you notice that it's N times T. So T is number of years that the account has been there. So also, just remember that let's say you have half a year, then T will be 0.5, so on and so forth. So let's just do an example, and I think the key thing about this section is that you need to know if you put it in the calculator, the order operation makes a big difference, and I will talk a little bit about that. So let's do an example where you are asked to find the value of $2,500 invested at 7.5% for 5 years, compounded monthly. So looking at this problem, you just need to identify those letters and what each one means. Sorry about that. So I'm going to write it down. The P principal is 2,500. Your interest rate R, it's 7.5%, and remember that in decimal it's 0.075. Okay, T is number of years, and that's going to be 5. And N, in this case, because it's compounded monthly, so you have been 12 times in a year. So the total amount in your account, it will be 2,500 times 1 plus R divided by, here we're going to look at it again, R over N, right? So it's going to be 0.075 divided by 12, and then the exponent part is the key, which is 12 times 5, right? Now here is a little thing I want to talk to you about, in which some people like to do these little individual parts separately on the side, and maybe do this calculation on the side and then enter in the calculator. But what I want to teach you is if you were to do this in one long string of calculation in the calculator, what it should look like. So let's talk a little bit about that, because the calculator will follow the order operation that you put it in. So for example, in this case in here, right, you want this to be calculated separately before you add 1 to it. So you should put a parentheses around this part. Okay, and then close this parentheses, because now these two these things are together. And then you want to raise it to that power, and raising power is a caret key on your calculator, and you want these to be done also separately. So this will be the number that you put it in your calculator. And let me stop for a second and come back and tell you what that value is.